Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're looking in the mirror right now and feeling stuck, weak, or just trapped in an exhausting cycle of people-pleasing, I need you to listen extremely closely. Because today, we're going to dive into the shocking science-backed truth about completely rewiring who you are. We're literally going to shatter the illusion of your current self. So, what if the absolute biggest lie you believe is who you actually think you are? Let's dive into this, because so many of us feel totally exposed. We feel stuck in this weak, constantly apologizing identity, and we falsely believe it's a permanent life sentence. You know the drill. You tell yourself, oh, I'm just naturally shy, or I'm just not an assertive person. But the truth from our sources, that is the biggest lie you could ever tell yourself. You are literally holding yourself hostage. And the cost of this? It's astronomical. $300 billion. Just let that staggering amount of money sink in for a second. That right there represents the ultimate, devastating price tag of lacking psychological boundaries, of being way too agreeable, and of being absolutely terrified of conflict. To put that into perspective, just look at the profoundly tragic story of Apple's forgotten third founder, Ronald Wayne. This guy surrendered 10% of Apple for $800. Why? Because he couldn't handle the high-risk pressure and he couldn't set boundaries. He traded what would now be a $300 billion empire just to avoid disappointing his partners. He acted as a human safety net for Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak instead of standing his ground. The fixed personality myth. Why you feel so stuck. See, we fall into this massive psychological trap. We completely confuse our past behavioral history with our permanent identity. It's like you awkwardly stumble over your words in one meeting and suddenly your brain edits reality to say, yep, I am an awkward person. It's confirmation bias tricking you into believing you can never, ever change. But here is the crucial point to remember. Your personality is not a prison. It is a pattern. It's highly flexible. It's really just the average of your repeated behaviors. It's a neurological groove you've rehearsed so many times, it kind of feels like destiny. But patterns can be broken. And we have the data to prove it. A landmark 2017 study out of the University of Illinois proved that by intentionally changing your actions, you can actually permanently alter your fundamental personality traits in just 16 short weeks. Participants who were coached to just act differently saw measurable, permanent shifts. They didn't just feel different, they literally became different people by changing their behavior first. Rewiring your brain chemistry, hacking your neural pathways. Now, to build this dominant, unrecognizable new self, you can't just sit around and meditate your way there. We have to actively rewire our brain chemistry by leveraging the habit loop. Cue, routine, and reward. By taking daily action and experiencing real-world feedback, you force your brain to gather hard evidence of your new confidence. It completely bypasses your old fears because action creates evidence, and that evidence tells your brain, hey, we're confident now. So, how do we physically alter these pathways? You have to manipulate your environment, visualize your confident self daily, expand your comfort zone using exposure therapy, put yourself in slightly uncomfortable situations on purpose every single day. Curate an environment of positive role models because, let's face it, behaviors spread like wildfire. And use powerful if-then principles like the ones from the Peach app. For example, if I'm waiting in line at the coffee shop, then I will strike up a conversation with a stranger. Taking control of the mind. Strategies for high-value traits. Listen, high-value individuals do not rely on raw willpower. They use strategy. You can crush bad habits by disrupting what's called the temptation generation cycle at 3 critical stages. First, remove the temptation entirely. Don't just stare at the cookie, get it out of the house. Second, appraise the temptation negatively. Look at your phone as a source of stress, not relief. And third, make the healthy alternative sparkle. Make reading that book look like the ultimate reward. And when the anxiety hits, use the mind bus technique. This is a brilliant cognitive behavioral therapy method. Imagine you're driving a bus, okay? Your negative thoughts, your fears, your self-doubt, they're just loud, super annoying passengers in the back. You don't argue with them, but you don't let them drive either. You create psychological distance. You hear them complaining, but you keep your hands firmly on the wheel. And the payoff for this mental discipline is absolutely insane. Science actually shows that slightly lowering your neuroticism brings you the exact same boost in life satisfaction as earning an extra $314,000 a year. By taking control of your mind, you're effectively paying yourself a massive fortune in pure happiness. Set boundaries and say no. Stop being an emotional backup plan. You are never going to build a powerful personality if you're constantly bleeding energy to please everyone else. Look, we've all been conditioned since childhood to be people pleasers, constantly seeking conditional love. But sacrificing your own goals just to avoid making someone else a little uncomfortable, that isn't genuine kindness. It is toxic naivety. Letting people exploit you without boundaries is a mindset you have to kill right now. So let's run your relationships through an acid test. Is your quote-unquote friend actually just a manipulator? Do they only magically appear when they need a favor? Do they ignore your wins and successes? Do they lay on the guilt trip the second you say no? If you answered yes, you're being exploited. They are a parasite to your potential, and you absolutely must prioritize yourself immediately.
Act as if. The physical trigger for mental change.
Now, to finalize your transformation, we're going to use the principle of embodied cognition. This is the wild fact that your physical posture directly affects your brain chemistry. Your brain is literally reading physical cues from your body to figure out who you are. Harvard research backs this up. Power posing physically increases testosterone and drops your cortisol levels. You can literally hack your confidence from the outside in. Think about it. Slouching tells your brain, I'm weak, I'm hiding. But standing tall, with your shoulders pulled back, maintaining steady eye contact, speaking with a clear, deliberate pace, those physical triggers instantly command respect. Master active listening, keep a mysterious but optimistic vibe, and you will fundamentally alter how the entire world perceives your value. If you think this is too hard, look at Sudha Chandran. She tragically lost her leg at just 18 years old, but she used a relentless growth mindset to overcome massive physical limitations and became a renowned classical dancer. I mean, if someone can overcome that level of tragedy to reinvent themselves, we have absolutely zero excuses for staying trapped in a weak mindset. The 19th century psychologist William James hit the nail on the head when he said, if you want equality, act as if you already have it. And modern neuroscience completely backs him up. Taking bold action before you feel completely ready is the only way to build a mental database of successful experiences. You've got to behave like the powerful person you want to become, starting right now, even if your brain is screaming at you to stop. The mandate for action. Your transformation starts now. You now have the complete, science-backed, psychological blueprint from our sources to shatter your old pattern. But honestly, it means absolutely nothing without execution. So as this explainer wraps up, I have one final question for you. What is the very first uncomfortable action you will take today to meet the new you? Stop being a prisoner to your past. Step right into the fire of your own neuroplasticity and go introduce yourself to the strongest version of you.